Imagine being placed in a conversation you never asked for, a conversation tied to one of the greatest drummers in rock history. That's exactly what's happening with Anika Nilles and the lasting legacy of Neil Peart. For decades, Rush wasn't just a band. It was a movement built on precision, complexity, and identity. And at the center of that identity was Neil Peart. His drumming wasn't just technical, it was storytelling. Every fill, every transition, every composition felt intentional. So when fans hear any modern drummer's name mentioned in the same sentence as Rush, it instantly triggers something deeper than curiosity. It triggers protection. And now, Anika Nilles finds herself at the center of that tension. Not because she claimed the role, not because Rush announced anything, but because fans started asking a dangerous question. What if someone new stepped into that space? And once that question entered the conversation, there was no going back. Online, the reactions are split. Some fans shut it down immediately, saying Neil Peart's legacy should never be touched, never compared, never continued. To them, Rush without Peart isn't evolution, it's dilution. But others see it differently. They believe music grows, that new voices bring new energy, and that respecting the past doesn't mean ignoring the future. But here's where things get complicated. Anika Nilles didn't rise through controversy. She earned attention through raw skill, viral drum performances, and a style that blends technical mastery with musical feel. Her playing is clean, creative, and undeniably modern. Yet the moment her name gets pulled into the orbit of Rush, the conversation shifts. It stops being about what she can do and starts being about what she represents. And that's where the pressure begins. Because stepping into a space shaped by Neil Peart isn't just difficult, it's almost impossible. His influence on Rush wasn't limited to rhythm. He helped define their sound, their structure, even their identity as a band. So when people bring Anika Nilles into that conversation, what they're really questioning is this: can anyone carry a legacy without being consumed by it? And that's where the debate gets louder. There are fans who believe Rush should never move forward without Neil Peart. To them, the story ended exactly where it was supposed to. Anything beyond that feels unnecessary. But then there's another side. Listeners who believe music should evolve, that every generation deserves its own interpretation of greatness. Still, no matter which side you stand on, one truth remains. Anika Nilles doesn't play like Neil Peart, and she's not trying to. Her strength lies in her originality, her phrasing, her timing, her ability to make complex rhythms feel effortless. But ironically, that uniqueness is exactly what puts her under even more scrutiny. Because if she sounds different, fans question whether it fits. And if she tried to sound the same, they'd call it imitation. It's a no-win situation, and everyone is watching. And that spotlight, it doesn't just stay online, it follows every performance, every clip, every mention of Anika Nilles. Because once fans begin comparing you to Neil Peart, the expectations stop being realistic and start becoming symbolic. You're no longer just a drummer. You become a test of whether legacy can be continued, a test of whether modern talent can stand beside history without being overshadowed by it. And for a band like Rush, that pressure multiplies. Because Rush isn't just known for great music, it's known for precision, discipline, and a standard that was set incredibly high. So now imagine this. Every note you play is being analyzed. Every fill is being compared. Not just to any drummer, but to one of the most respected musicians to ever sit behind a kit. And the audience, they're not just listening, they're judging, remembering, and measuring every second against decades of history. That's what makes this situation so intense. Because this isn't just about talent anymore. It's about expectation versus reality. It's about whether fans are truly open to something new, or if they're holding on so tightly to the past that nothing else can ever feel right. And that question hasn't been answered yet. But here's the part most people don't talk about. This entire debate isn't really about Anika Nilles alone. It's about what happens when a legacy becomes so powerful that it almost freezes a band in time. Because with Rush, the legacy of Neil Peart isn't just respected, it's protected. And that protection comes with consequences. It creates an environment where any new name, no matter how talented, is immediately placed under suspicion. Not because they lack skill, but because they represent change. And for many fans, change feels like loss. It feels like letting go of something that meant everything to them for decades. So the conversation shifts again. It's no longer just, is Anika Nilles good enough? It becomes, should anyone even try? That question alone is what keeps this debate alive. Because if the answer is no, then the door is permanently closed. But if the answer is yes, then someone, somewhere, will eventually have to step into that space and face everything that comes with it. And if that moment ever comes, it won't just test the drummer, it will test the fans. And that's where everything comes full circle. Because at its core, this isn't really about Anika Nilles replacing Neil Peart in Rush. That moment hasn't happened. There's been no official move, no confirmed decision. What we're witnessing instead is something just as powerful. The way fans react to the idea of change. The idea alone has been enough to spark debates, divide opinions, and reignite conversations about legacy, identity, and what it truly means to move forward. Because deep down, fans aren't just protecting Neil Peart's legacy, they're protecting how that music made them feel. The memories, the moments, the connection, and when a new name enters that space, it doesn't feel neutral. It feels personal. But here's the reality. Music has always evolved. Every legend was once compared to someone else. Every new voice was once questioned. And over time, the ones who stayed true to themselves didn't replace the past, they expanded it. So maybe the real question isn't whether Anika Nilles can step into Neil Peart's place in Rush. Maybe the real question is this: are fans ready to accept anything new at all? Because until that answer changes, the debate won't end. It will only grow louder.